If you're wondering when the big leaks for the Pixel 10 series of devices would begin, the answer is right about now because we have renders of all three Pixel 10 devices courtesy of Android headlines and OnLeaks. Now, of course, I will put a link to that original article down below, but I will be reading off of my own website, shanecraig.tech. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by just looking at all three of these devices. And I'm going to leave out one big detail to start that we'll loop back around to. So first up, we have the base model Pixel 10. Can you see what the big change is that we're going to be talking about? By and large, this thing looks very much the same as last year's Pixel 9 that my wife has actually been daily driving for quite a while. The screen size is staying the same. The dimensions are largely staying exactly the same. The bezel sizes are remaining the same. It's a flat side rail, flat back. Everything seems very, very similar. Pixel 10 Pro, once again, everything looks basically identical. If you held this up to the Pixel 9 Pro, I don't think you could easily tell the difference between the two. And then the XL model is just like that. It's effectively the exact same device. Screen sizes, dimensions, all of these things are staying basically identical to the point that you might even be able to use your case from your Pixel 9 on your Pixel 10 devices. But if you go back to that original base model Pixel 10, the thing that you might have mentioned that looks a bit odd or a bit different to you might be the fact that there are one, two, yes indeed, three cameras on the back of the Pixel 10. Now, of course, that base model Pixel has always just had a standard camera and an ultra wide, with the periscope telephoto zoom being reserved for the Pro models. But this appears to be changing. We see a periscope zoom right there. Now, we maybe don't need to dig crazy deep into a render because things might not be exactly correct. But if we do that anyways, and we zoom in really far, you can see that that periscope telephoto zoom is sort of positioned way over to the side, very close to this edge here. And if we compare that to the Pixel 10 Pro, it looks a little bit maybe smaller and shifted over to the interior of the device just a little bit. And maybe that hints at some deeper details, because as soon as you look at this and you say, well, okay, this thing has three cameras as well, you might be asking yourself, why would you buy the $200 more expensive Pro model if the base model has the same camera setup? Well, the first answer to this question is maybe this was just a mistake in the render. OnLeaks has done a really good job over the years of being a tech tipster. They rarely get things this big that wrong, and they actually have already addressed this point. Many of you are asking, yes, as shown on the highly detailed renders made by my man iDesigner 3D, the base Google Pixel 10 comes with a triple rear camera setup, which includes a telephoto slash periscope. So this is evidently not a mistake. This is a real thing. So then, okay, what else would differentiate this base model from the Pro model? Well, historically, the Pro model has had 16 gigs of RAM. The base model has stuck with 12 gigs of RAM. Day-to-day use, you're not really going to see a big difference there. The Pro model has also had a slightly brighter Super Actua display, but let's be honest, the base model has 2700 nits of peak brightness. That's pretty doggone bright, so I don't think you're really going to see too big of a difference there either. One big possibility is that the zoom you're getting in this base model just isn't as good as the zoom you're getting in the Pro models. Maybe rather than 5x optical zoom, maybe it's only 3x optical zoom. Or let me give you another alternative. Maybe the zoom sensor in the base model is closer to the zoom model in the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which is still a 5x sensor, but it is a lesser sensor. It's a lower resolution, smaller sensor, so it does pretty well. But when you stack it up against the 9 Pro or 9 Pro XL, it is obviously a lesser sensor. So maybe that's how they would go around it. We've also heard some very sort of light rumors that need to be further substantiated that the Pro models might actually be getting an entirely new primary camera sensor, with the standard model sticking with what I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, was a Samsung G&K 50 megapixel sensor. So maybe if you add all of that together, the Pro model has more RAM, a probably brighter screen, probably maybe a better 5x zoom, a better primary sensor, and of course it does have that thermometer. Maybe altogether that's enough to make it worth it. You also kind of have to wonder if perhaps Google would do the kind of crummy thing where they take this new Pixel Sense thing that's rumored. If you haven't heard about this, I'll drop a link to that video in the description down below. Basically, Google now full of AI and really supercharged. Would they restrict Pixel Sense to the Pro models? Maybe all of that together makes that $200 gap make a bit more sense. I'm not entirely convinced. I think that we're creeping towards a point, especially now that we're launching the Fold with the other Pixel devices. Maybe that Pro model needs to just go away. Maybe we just need to have a Pixel 10, a Pixel 10 Pro, which is the bigger screen. It's the XL. Maybe, okay, let's just say Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro XL, and then the Pixel 9 Pro or Pixel 10 Pro Fold. My goodness, the names are confusing. Base model, big phone, folding phone. You know what I'm trying to say. Speaking more broadly of these devices, what you should be expecting, well, we are getting the Tensor G5, which is now being made by TSMC instead of Samsung Foundry. We do have some specifications here that were reported by Android authorities several months back. Basically, kind of similar, slight small upgrades here and there. Some clock speeds are increased, and then the actual layout is different as well. So there's 5 performance cores and 2 efficiency cores, which is a little bit different. This does not look like a massive upgrade over the G4. We do know that the actual chip itself is a little bit larger than something like Apple's A18 Pro. It's also using TSMC's N3E node. So there's some new technology there. I do think it'll be a perfectly solid processor, but you're not going to see this massive jump where we go from the G4 to something that is, topping or matching something like the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Don't be expecting that at all. Now, we've also seen, again, some light rumors that need to be substantiated in the Mystic Leaks Telegram channel. Pinch of salt on this stuff. 12 gigs of RAM. Screen will be increasing in brightness to 2,000 and then 3,000 nits peak. They might be using a new chip that could potentially charge wirelessly at 60 watts with 20-watt reverse charging. New Pixel stand with super fast charging would be absolutely sick. What does that mean for wired charging? No idea. Again, major, giant pinch of salt on these rumors. They may be totally wrong. 8K 30 FPS recording, 4K 60 on external displays, and the same ultrasonic fingerprint scanner from last year. So putting all this together, yes, the devices do look very, very similar to last year. Expect a lot of the new stuff to be software, not a lot of new hardware. Maybe the new camera is a real thing. Hard to say. But guys, taking that step back, does this make sense to you? Adding the telephoto to that base model, what would have to happen for that to make sense? I just want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.